Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to see you. If you aren't someone who lives in New York City, if you're not aware, we are in the midst of yet another weird record-setting event, which is the first F-storm. The first named F-storm to hit so early in July. So we have a tropical storm happening. Rather than fight it, I've just opened the window and made it part of the show. So you may hear some crazy rain, possibly thunder, possibly other exciting things. And to be honest, I think F-storm might be the most perfect way to encapsulate the weird times that we're in anyway. So that was the marvelous, the ferocious, the featured feisty female songwriter of the week, Miss Annie Lennox, with Dave Stewart, her partner in Eurythmics, singing probably their biggest hit, Sweet Dreams. I'm going to tell you honestly, my favorite was Missionary Man, but this one just pumps me up a lot more. Anyway, so welcome to the sort of Sweet 16 episode of this show. Who would have thought 16 episodes in, 4 months, a little bit crazy. We are planning, those of you who are really clamoring for another event up at the Hodgepodge Lodge, that is in the midst of planning, and we're hoping for the end of this month, so stay tuned. In honor of my Sweet 16, and if you may have noticed that escapism in my mind is a constantly recurring theme of this show. I'm back in the 80s. Funny story, I once wore this dress as part of an 80s themed costume day when I used to teach full time, and only found out a few months later that the middle schoolers decided that Miss Davis actually dressed as a prostitute. I had no idea. And on this dress with tights and leg warmers, it was very flash dance. But you know, sometimes 6th graders don't understand the nuances of 80s or 90s fashion. And to be fair to them, 80s fashion, prostitution fashion, it's a fine line. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here. Let's have some music. I'll do a couple of my tunes, and then we'll finish out with an Annie Lennox tune, and I'll tell you more about her than you ever wanted to know. All right, Davis, let's get to it. So this first one, I guess I'll take off the sunglasses. It's called Back to Sad. I think the last time I did it was when I was dressed as the Statue of Liberty, and I was sort of imagining the Statue of Liberty being sad at people leaving New York. Now I see it in a whole new light. So that's the magic of crazy times and songs. So anyway, here you go. This is Back to Sad. Ghost, I just realized that Strange Heavenly Sound was not me having some sort of an attack. That was actually my phone, but I guess they stopped calling, so great. That was back to Sads. Yeah. Next, another song of mine, As Long As You're Not There, and I know what you're gonna say to me, Leah, what about the foot percussion that you've been promising us? Giving you a little taste of that every week. I'm not gonna do it this week, even though you're right, this is a perfect song for foot percussion, but as I try to work on the guitar parts and get the rhythm a little more interesting, I'm still having to try to match it with the vocal part, so I'm just gonna work on that first, but I promise you, exciting foot percussion is coming with this song. This is As Long As You're Not There. So I'm going to start that again, and I'm so sorry, because I realized that I usually play that in a completely different key. So let's try it that way instead and see how it goes. Here we go. Oh, much difference. Thank you so much. That is As Long As You're Not There. Let's see who else we have here. Oh, Jessica. Hey, guys. Thanks for all the waiting. All right. Now, Annie Lennox. Let me talk to you about Annie Lennox. To me, Annie Lennox is like one of the most awesome people ever from my childhood in the 80s, and I wore out her solo album, Diva. But anyway, let me not get ahead of myself. So, you may know that when I research someone, there's always something really exciting that I find out as well. My favorite fact about Annie Lennox is that before the band The Tourists, which I knew about, she was in a band before the Eurythmics called The Tourists, and that's where she met Dave Stewart, her partner for the Eurythmics. Before that, she was the flute player in 1976 with a band called Dragon's Playground. Now, the best part of this story is that she dropped out of the band just before they appeared on a British show called The New Faces. So I love to picture Annie Lennox being like, oh my god, I can't believe that I dropped out as the flute player right before they got exposure on New Faces, because where's Dragon's Playground now? None of us know, but we all know who Annie Lennox is, or if you don't, I encourage you to find out, right? So, just goes to show. Sometimes things work out for the best. 70s, The Tourists with Dave Stewart. That's where she met Dave Stewart. They did actually have a romance. I just learned that from the lyrics, the like behind the lyrics thing online for Sweet Dreams. She was with the Eurythmics. That's where she got, they had all kind of chart-topping success. In 1992 was her album Diva. 1995 Medusa. She actually had 6 solo albums. The album Medusa went double platinum in the UK and the US. She has won so many awards because of music and because of her insane like humanitarian and philanthropic efforts that I couldn't possibly list them all. So I'll just sort of give you the rundown as best I can and a couple of, I think, really awesome quotes. So the Brits are kind of like the British Grammys, and she won so many of them that eventually they just gave her an award called the Champion of Champions. She won 4 Grammys. She won an MTV Video Award, and that's like back in the day when MTV was pretty new. She won a Billboard magazine actually gave her an Artist of the Century award, which is a really big deal. And the editor of Billboard magazine wrote this about her as part of giving her the awards. He called her one of the most original and unforgettably affecting artists in the modern annals of popular music. In 2004, she won an Oscar and a Golden Globe for the song she wrote for Return of the King, part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy of movies. I actually had no idea until I started looking at more information about her, how much she did for movies. She also wrote a song for Bram Stoker's Dracula called Love Song for a Vampire, and I mean, is she not the most perfect person to ask to write you a song called Love Song for a Vampire? She did. She did music for Apollo 13, the soundtrack. Like, what? She performed at the 2012 Summer Olympics. In 2012, she performed for the Queen at her big Diamond Jubilee. Now, her humanitarian stuff is also crazy, and most of the awards she has won in the late 2000s have been because of that, even though she keeps recording and keeps, finding success, dance charts and all, various charts. 2007, she was invited to perform at a Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. She was also invited to perform as part of Nelson Mandela's 90th birthday. 2010, she was named a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador for AIDS. That's her humanitarian work has been primarily focused. She's been doing it for decades on AIDS, HIV, and in particular, its effect on women and kids, and especially in Africa. And she's been doing that for a really long time. 2010, she won an officer. I wanted to call her a dame. I wanted to say she was knighted, but then I looked it up and I found out technically she's not a dame, but she got an award from the Queen as an officer of the Order of the British Empire for her tireless humanitarian work. 2013, the music industry gave her a huge award, and Elton John and Adele both said all these things about her as part of getting the award. Elton John spoke of her not only as a brilliant singer and songwriter, but as an HIV and AIDS activist and a supporter of women's rights. Adele called her a constant part of my life, an example of brilliant talent that exudes excellence and influence on everyone. And of course, The Advocate confirms it. She has been considered a constant gay icon ever since her unbelievable fashion, unique style in the 80s, her very androgynous look. And if you don't know, androgyny was really in the 80s. Apparently she was viewed, didn't think of her this way when I was listening to her music, but apparently she was viewed as sort of the female equivalent of Boy George, and they actually appeared together on the cover of Newsweek in January of 1984, a whole story about how British music is taking over again. But she is no doubt a gay icon, also because of her constant support since way back when of LGBTQ rights. So she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing songwriter. She does a lot of amazing things. Also, I just love that she's completely one of a kind, fierce, ferocious. That's Annie Lennox. So I'm gonna do a song to finish us out called Why. This is off her Diva album, which also, by the way, most beautiful album cover of all time. Anyway, so this is one of her sort of more mellow songs, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me adjust the capo. Here we go. This is Annie Lennox's song, Why, from her album Diva. Sorry, the 80s belt is kind of messing up my jam here. you so much, folks. Let me come out and say goodbye. You might have... The other percussion was my dog scratching his neck and jiggling his collar. Thank you so much, everybody. I can't wait to see you next Friday. Hang in there. Keep fighting the good fights. And, I mean, what more can I say except hang in there. See you next Friday. Bye.